was a clear winter's day in 2013 when I arrived at the rooms of the world's most famous detective. He was standing at the fireplace, pipe in hand, his brow furrowed. I had no doubt he was tackling some fiendish puzzle of great importance, on which, perhaps, the fate of the entire country depended.
Holmes, sorry to disturb you. I'm here to ask for your help.
Mr. Neal, I was just wondering what to have for lunch. Pray, join me. The table is laid for two.
You expected me?
Of course.
But how could you possibly...
Elementary, Mr. Neal. I noted, after you last helped me solve a case, that you seemed restless. You have spent much of your time perusing the works of my friend John Watson, and although your countenance indicated that you did so with pleasure, there was also an air of despondency. It was clear you were facing an intractable problem. And when people have problems, they come to me.
It is as you say, Holmes. Some time ago, I discovered this old copy of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective in my dad's attic and fell in love with the game. It's a game that perfectly captures the atmosphere of your adventures, drawing players into the world of Victorian London with compelling mysteries. And it's such an elegant system. You just read the introduction to the case, consult newspapers and the map, and play until you think you've solved it. But now, well, I've played the last of the mysteries, and I am bereft. My mind rebels at stagnation. I crave for mental exaltation.
Very well put, particularly those last two statements. I'll remember them. And yours is a position I thoroughly appreciate, Mr. Neal. But there are no more mysteries for the game. You know that. Even to a brain as astute as mine, no solution can present itself. It's simply...
What is it, Holmes?
Well, Mr. Neal, there is one possibility, but it's so outlandish, so extraordinary, that I do not feel you should give it any serious consideration.
Let me be the judge of that, Holmes.
Very well. There are no more mysteries, so why don't you create some? You've been writing stories all your life, have you not? You've been reading Watson's works since you were 8. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you even composed plays featuring yours truly and performed them for other children at your school. Now would seem an opportune time to resume such literary endeavours.
Yes, Holmes, you are right. I think I could even create a whole series of cases. I will begin at once. Thank you.
Hold on, Mr. Neal. Do not be so hasty. There is much to consider before you begin.
Such as?
Such as the process for creating a case. Such as whether you will modify or extend the rules. Such as how you will make my unrivaled intellect as prominent as it was in the original cases.
Some say you cheated in those cases.
I never cheat. It's true that I make a lucky guess once in a while, but unless you are good at guessing, it's no good being a detective, as someone once said. I forget who it was. Still, perhaps we should minimize the guessing.
Meaning I will expound a clear thread with impeccable logic showing how I reached my solution?
Yes, I can do that. Some may even say it is my raison d'etre. Quite. That's what I'll aim for, anyway. And at the same time, I may update the rules to address some concerns players had with the original cases. I mean, it's still an excellent game and a trailblazer in its time, and probably still my favourite. But it's been over 30 years since it was published, and players have had ample time to voice their likes and dislikes. For example, many find it too hard. Too hard? But Mr. Neal, the mysteries practically solve themselves.
For you, Holmes, but not for most people. In my first few games, we were happy when we got a score above 0 out of 100.
Well, perhaps it could be a touch easier, but players adore a challenge.
You're right. So I feel the cases should also cater to those people. But I can't do both, can I?
Yes, you can. You see, it is all about the peripheral clues, Mr. Neal. You can have a direct path that leads to the solution, the one that I will follow, of course. But then the players who wander from that path scatter some other clues around that they will find, which will gently push them back in the right direction. To some extent, the game will adapt to the ability of the players. That makes sense. Although for some cases I have in mind, that could be difficult to do, because there could be one specific thing players have to achieve to progress. Ah, rather like these escape games I hear have become popular. Indeed. And those games work by using a hint system, so I could do the same. I'll help stuck players by making you more useful. I beg your pardon? Sorry, well, I meant useful to the players. Some have pointed out that in the original game, the rules say they can come to you if they get stuck, but you often aren't actually very helpful. I didn't want to spoil it for them. If they've got to the point where they come to you for help, they want it to be spoiled. They want useful hints. Very well. These suggestions could make this set of cases of yours a very good introduction to the game. And new players are always welcome. But still, there is a problem. What if some players come to me at the start of the case because they can't figure out why there was a pickled egg and feather duster at the crime scene, whereas another group comes to me towards the end of the case because they want help to deduce the identity of the killer? How can I cater to the needs of the second group without giving away information that would spoil it for the first? A three-pipe problem indeed, Holmes. But perhaps I can deal with it in the same way I intend to deal with another problem. Which is, in the original game, players would sometimes read an entry that didn't make much sense, referring to places and people they knew nothing about. The writers had assumed that they would have visited other locations first, and so were thinking that they would already know about these things when they actually knew nothing about them. But I've realized I can fix that quite simply. I will give the game a memory. At certain points, players will be told to circle a letter of the alphabet, and then later on asked if that letter is circled. So, for example, if they hear about a stolen wheelbarrow, they could be asked to circle the letter H, and then later, if they visit the wheelbarrow shop, they will learn something different if H is circled than if it isn't. I'm not sure wheelbarrow shops exist. That's not the point, Holmes. The point is that the game will know where players have been and what they know. So if they come to you for help, they can get different information depending on where they are in the case. Excellent, Mr. Neal. I believe you are onto something. It also means that during a case, players could acquire useful crime-fighting items, such as a magnifying glass or a deerstalker hat. Yes, and that means that some cases could have objectives. Rather than play until you think you've solved it, maybe you have to rescue someone or find something. And the final case could have multiple endings, and it could build to some kind of intense climactic finale like the end of a TV series, bringing hidden threads together, weaving them in from past cases into some kind of thrilling and... Enough! I only suggested players could find a hat and you turn it into War and Peace. By all means, attempt these grand schemes if you want, Mr. Neal. But you haven't even written a single case yet, and I fear you are getting a little ahead of yourself. Instead, let's move to more immediate concerns, such as how you will go about devising these mysteries. If I may, I would like to make 2 suggestions. By all means, Holmes. It strikes me that one can approach this from the start or from the end. If from the end you come up with a series of events leading to a crime, and then find a way to make those events appear unusual and mysterious. Conversely, approaching it from the start, you come up with a perplexing mystery, something that you feel you cannot explain, and then devise a solution for it. I see. I think I'll use both, but I particularly like the second. It means I would be solving the mystery myself,
For example, someone goes to dinner with a friend and he leaves the room just for a moment, and when he comes back in, the friend has gone. No note, no explanation. There was no argument or anything he can think of to explain the disappearance. That sounds like an intriguing beginning to a mystery. So now I just need to think of an explanation that makes logical sense. Explanations. Sorry? More than one explanation, Mr. Neal. The first one you think of is likely to also be the one that your players think of first, and it'll be more interesting if that isn't the actual solution. So you should cast aside your first solution and come up with another. Find two explanations to an apparently inexplicable series of events. Indeed, or maybe three, or even stick to two, thank you. Ha! Capital. Sorry. An idea just occurred to me, Mr. Neal, which would be highly amusing. As I've often said to my friend Watson, I feel if I speak this aloud, it could be considered what you call a spoiler. Perhaps you could whisper it. Yes, I think I'll use that. Excellent. Then, Mr. Neal, the game is truly afoot. The years following my consultation with Holmes were life-changing for me, although I didn't realize it at the time. Writing the cases was a long, difficult, but rewarding process, and a lot of playtesting was required. As all designers know, players never do quite what you expect them to do. I remember some of my first playtests when, after crafting what I thought was a perfect case, I would watch with surprise as players latched onto theories I had never considered, found false clues I never intended to be there, and completely missed clues that I thought were quite obvious. Sometimes entire rewrites of a case were required. Slowly, from 2013 to 2017, I created the 10 cases. Thankfully, as time went on, the process became a lot faster and easier because I was learning how to anticipate players' decisions and thought processes far more accurately. Early on, I decided I wanted my set to have some kind of coherent theme. In the original Consulting Detective, you are told you are members of the Baker Street Irregulars, the street children who help Sherlock solve crimes. I realized putting them under the magnifying glass would be a great way to connect a series of cases and make players feel invested in the game world as part of a team of recognizable characters. To this end, the first case in my set is the first full case the Baker Street Irregulars ever worked on, and then the following 3 cases each center around a different member of the Irregulars. After that comes a series of cases telling the story of a particularly challenging year and the arrival of a new irregular. When I was asked to write a free introductory case, the narrative was complete. Starting with the short demo, an irregular meeting, and playing through to the final case in my set, Death of a Detective, players can now follow a story that spans a decade. They will witness the beginnings of the Baker Street Irregulars, learn more about some of the members, and then experience the dramatic and emotional conclusion of one of their most challenging years. It wasn't until 2016 that I learned my cases would be published. I'd sent the first case I'd created, the Curzon Street kidnapping, to the publisher in 2014. But various factors meant a long delay before they came to a decision. I was understandably thrilled when eventually they contacted me to say they wanted me to create an entire set of cases. And that was only the start of my journey. While designing the cases, I discovered the excellent Playtest UK and met many other game designers, including David Thompson, with whom I later collaborated on War Story Occupied France, and Matthew Dunstan, my co-designer on Perspectives and the Echoes line, and who has his own excellent YouTube channel on game design. I also began attending Essen Spiel, the world's largest board game convention, and pitched new narrative games to publishers and was offered more contracts. In sum, writing that first Consulting Detective case was the spark that ignited my game design career, a small project that completely changed my life. And it was a meaningful moment for me in 2017 when I was put in contact with one of the original designers of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, Suzanne Goldberg, and was able to tell her that. Mr. Neal, do stop dallying at the door and come inside. I imagine you are hesitating because you are feeling a sense of guilt at having not visited me for so long. Yes, I'm sorry not to have called, Holmes, but everything we talked about last time, it's all been coming together better than I could possibly have imagined, and it's been occupying all my time. I've been solving tantalizing mysteries. Yes, and lost in the gaslit fog of London. Indeed, and rereading Watson's works with a renewed appreciation, noticing things you never noticed before. In short, you have been engaged in all the things you were looking for when you last came to see me. Your absence is proof of my success. Do not feel guilty for it. My only question is, why have you come to me now? Well, because I've had an idea. More than one, actually. I see. You are concerned that in writing mysteries where I am not the central figure, I may feel some form of resentment, that you could be betraying me in some way. Well, I can assure you that is not the case, Mr. Neal. I may be the greatest detective, but I know I am not the only detective. This just shows that your problem will not return for some time, if ever. You have found a way to put mysteries at the heart of your life, and there are so many stories to tell. Go and tell them, with my blessing. Thank you, Holmes. I have also had an idea. You have? This set of 10 cases you're creating, what if there was more for players to discover? What do you mean? I'm aware this may constitute another spoiler, so I've taken the liberty of writing it down for you. I'll be sure to include it. Excellent. And remember, whenever you need me, I am here. I know. Good day, Holmes. Outside, I paused to look up at the window where he stood. He gazed over Baker Street, bathed in the last of the evening light. Seeing his meditative expression, I suddenly realized it reflected his confidence that there will always be more enigmas to solve, and the world will never fail to present new and intriguing mysteries to those who go looking for them.